The aperture of consciousness is opening. More light is coming through. There will be no dystopian robot future. There will be no technocratic takeover by elites. It simply won't happen. Their time is done. And the future technology that's coming through, who knows what it is, but it isn't going to look much like this crude stuff that we've got here, even though it has helped us and supported us hugely in the transition that we're making now. But how do I know? How am I so sure? And I am finally sure. Um, so what happens is cyclical. We live in a cycle. You could say it's the cycle of samsara, and it does feel as if the cycle is speeding up. And it's speeding up potentially due to our resistance. So once we get to the breaking point and it opens out, it will be like a flower finally blossoming. And this blossoming is going to happen next year, is coming. So, you know, when we have an update on our phone, it goes through a process. Well, the cyclical process that's taking place now is so similar to updating a phone or an app that it's ridiculous. I'm going to share a meditation soon that can help everybody's biology and being align to what's taking place so that as it happens, it's easier and it flows easier. Um, oh, where to begin? Where to begin? So the cycle that we're in this year, I've made videos about the cyclical nature. The solar year, it begins in Imbolc. Well, it actually begins at the end of it begins on Christmas, the rebirth of the sun. And from there, it slowly makes itself known by Imbolc, which is February the 1st in the northern hemisphere. If you're in Australia or the southern hemisphere, it's the reverse. So just, yeah, hear what I'm saying, but the reverse. And I think the fact that a lot of the modern world live on the northern hemisphere is probably why it's happening this winter solstice for us rather than in the southern hemisphere. And so Imbolc is the very gradual awakenings of spring. Spring equinox is when it finally arrives, and this is like youthfulness, this is like childhood. So spring equinox would be like when you're 8, 9 years old, you're no longer a child, but you're not also an adult. Then the summer comes, the summer solstice is the peak. I've missed a couple because this isn't about that. I just want to give a really brief summary. The summer solstice is the peak, the fullness of the sun, and then for the next 2 months we absorb that and we grow from it and we blossom. So the blossoming takes place from the solar, from the summer solstice to Lammas, to the harvest, the beginning, the August the 1st. And this is what we call it summer. Then the light begins to descend. The light begins to get less, and we're coming to the end of the cycle in the other half. So autumn equinox, another point of complete balance. But then Samhain, known as Halloween. This is what we're coming up to. And coincidentally, whilst three Atlas is behind the sun, this is when Samhain happens. And Samhain is like a time of, it's the time of the ancestors because it's a time of reflection. And we reflect on things. And as we head towards the death, the letting go, the reset. Then winter solstice is the death, the release, the let go. So if I'm comparing it to our phone updating, the year is the update, okay? And when we do the breathing practice in the meditation I'm going to share, the connected breathing is the updating. It's the updating, it's the receiving and the information coming in. Now, when the phone stops updating and it says initializing or installing, this is the winter solstice when we stop. We fall into the pause, everything is released, and the new things amalgamated in the dark. And then when it switches back on, when it comes back on and it's all up for use, this is Imbolc to spring equinox. And this is what's going to be taking place with human consciousness. So there's new, this March, as I said, and as many other people said, the Earth significantly raised its frequency into a whole new harmonic of possibility, which, as I explained in another video, it means that the push and pull of the light and dark is no longer equal. We've lived here on Earth in a place of equal push and pull, and at times probably the dark was even stronger, but that's not so. We've moved away from the compression, and it's not even a good and bad. It's simply a light and dark thing that happens. The darker things are, the more compressed they come, the more physical they are. So we're in a very physical world at the moment, and to be in a physical world, the light has to condense quite a lot. That's why we have shadows, because the light is condensed to the point it can cast a shadow. As the frequency rises, which is what's happening now, our entire biology is shifting and changing. Our entire experience of existence is going to shift and change because more light is coming in. Our biology is shifting. There are people like Richard Rudd and David Clements that are saying, and many people actually, that's just two of them, that our biology is undergoing a physical change. And it is, and it will, because it's becoming lighter. And when consciousness rises, or the aperture opens and more light comes in, our biology shifts and changes into new expressions. So the physics literally changes. My toroidal field video that I did 7 years ago goes into this a little bit, but it's a very crude um, expression of it. David Clements was with Amrit Sandhu. I'll post a link to that interview below, where he describes it beautifully, really beautifully. So what's taking place now, though, is a purge. There's a huge purge taking place. It's been taking place on quite a huge scale since the consensus reality broke during 2020, where suddenly the consensus reality that everyone kind of agreed was the way it worked literally broke, energetically, metaphysically, and really it broke. And since then, we've been purging. How many of you have had breakdowns? How many of you have been utterly overwhelmed and grief soaked in a brokenness? I know I have. I spent 2 years in being completely emptied and restructured, which was very unpleasant. But I've been broken down a few times, and as you've seen, I made some videos about breakdown. It's a necessary part of the process. So how do we go through this time of purge? Because as the light comes in, and again, David expressed this beautifully on the interview that he was in with Amrit the other day, as the light comes in, it kind of pushes through the blocks that we have remaining. I spent 5.5 years in India in my 20s and 30s, and every time I went to a place of power, every time I was in the aura of an enlightened being or an extraordinarily awakened master, I would get sick. I would get sick. People used to make jokes about being in India and getting sick, and it's not just the food and the water; it's the frequency, it's the vibration. That country's on a very high frequency and vibration, even though on the outside it can look kind of crazy. Um, and this is what happens when the new energy comes in. It disrupts, it blows apart the old structures that are still stuck, and then they have to move out. So it's almost like, when you have an icing bag and you're icing a cake and you're squeezing it and the icing's coming out. This is almost what's happening with us. As the light comes in, it moves out all the shite that's still left, all the old behaviors, all the old ways of being, the shame, the blame, the othering. And this is what we're seeing in the world right now. We're seeing a huge amount of this, and it's getting really polarized because it's literally being purged from us. It has to become polarized so we can see it so clearly, and so we can say, no, I don't want this. This is not the world that we want to live in. This isn't the world I want to live in. And so all of those dualistic behaviors and patterns are being purged from us, and how to be with that. So I've just, the meditation I'm going to share with you in a few days, I've been doing it and it's been purging me. Just this weekend, I was with a beautiful group, beautiful community of people that I meet with a few times a year, and we hold space in the summer. And there's been really difficult political, emotional, historic, colonial shit that's needing to be dealt with. But in the dealing of it and in the wading through it, it's bringing up so much trauma for everybody involved. And I found myself just reeling in the grief, reeling in the grief. And this is the thing. So if we've grown up in the modern world, We have grown up in a substrate of colonized or colonial, patriarchal, and often sexist mindsets. So those of us that grew up in the 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s, we grew up in a thoroughly sexist and racist and colonial substrate. Okay, and if you grow mushrooms and you have a substrate, that's the mass that the mushrooms grow from. And so whatever grows from a substrate, it can only grow from that substrate. And although the mitochondria are phenomenal and they do miraculous work at literally creating stuff that wasn't in the substrate, life still is dealing with what it's growing from. And we've grown from quite a toxic substrate. I mean, this world, this culture that's kind of falling apart around our ears at the moment, it's falling apart around our ears because it's outdated. It's totally crap. And it really needs to transform, which is what's happening. But it's painful because so many parts of ourselves have been nurtured and grown in that, and we don't see it. This is shadow work. This is what we call shadow. It's our blind spots. It's the bits we can't see. And so when it's first seen, it often gets felt and expressed as anger because it makes us angry, our pain, our trauma, what's been done to us, all the wrongs that have been done to us and our ancestors. It first often expresses anger and rage. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. If we go below it, if we're able to not react and splurge that all over everybody else in blame and shame, because often when that anger becomes activated and we need to do something with it, it's like having a hot potato. And one of the best one of the best, not the best, the worst, but the most common channels for anger is blame. You know, it's like having a hose where you can just go with your anger and you feel as if you're getting rid of it and channeling it to the ones that deserve it. But we're just perpetuating it. We're just turning the wheel of samsara more and more. And this could be why we feel like time's speeding up. It could also just be that high frequency is on a higher oscillation. But as we're purging, often we're just splurging our toxicity all over everybody else, and this just perpetuates things because then other people get angry, they splurge it back at us. So those that are waking up, those that are understanding what's taken place and have done the work, that have done the inner work, that are able to be with that and not react to the anger but sink through it and see what's underneath it, often, well, pretty much all the time, is deep, deep grief. Deep grief and sadness. And even when we're in the grief and the sadness, it's still a hot potato. It's still a very uncomfortable place. And we still think we need to do something with it. And we have to find a way to resolve it, to correct it, to make it right. Wrong. We simply need to feel it. We just have to let grief have its way with us. You know, my friend, she says grief soaked. To just be grief soaked, to let the pain be and to feel it and to let the tears wash our hearts clean. Because anything we do with it is still a doing, it's still a perpetuation. We're still turning the wheel of samsara because we're doing. Oh, I need to process my grief. Yeah, well, I'm not saying that's wrong, but just the running away. So you could say, I often talk of the grasping and the pushing away. And the anger is when we're grasping. We're grasping at it. It's not okay. I'm not all right with this. We're compressing it. This is the dark working. This is the extreme of the polarity of dark. When we compress and grasp and desire or, this is not helpful. It's a perpetuation of the wheel of samsara. It's not transmuting it. And the pushing away, this would be akin to like the light, the transcend. I want to transcend. I want to get away from it. Take me to the love and the light. It's all too much. And we push it away. Again, neither of these work. They both perpetuate. And even though it doesn't really matter because it's taken place, whether we do that or not, it's still the divine outcome is unavoidable. But in our pushing and pulling, we're hurting each other. Okay, as we grasp and get angry and spray our anger over everybody else, we're hurting others and we're perpetuating it unnecessarily. And as we push it away and we don't want to look at it and we don't want to feel it, we're still perpetuating it because it needs to be felt. and we need to support each other in this process. The Buddha once said that the Sangha, the community of spiritual brothers and sisters, is the most important thing of the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. And being there for each other, supporting each other, letting someone be in their anger and holding space for them, not judging them, not blaming them or shaming them, okay? This is how we carry each other through this time. But whether we do this or not, it's still happening. And the aperture of consciousness is opening. And all the nonsense and the stupid shit is falling away because this process is happening. And it's coming, and enough people are aligning with it. And the morphogenetics field of humanity is becoming more and more stable in coherence. So this is what's taking place this winter, is we are shifting from incoherence to coherence. You know, the dawning of Aquarius song keeps rattling around my head. But what's taking place now is as we, and 3i Atlas, again, 3i Atlas is bringing through more frequency, more energies to, it's almost like to tip the balance. It's, you know, I don't think it's going to particularly stop here. It's not particularly bothered, just its presence passing through and what's within it, what's radiating out from it is another, actually, if you want to imagine the solar system right now, it's got like a crazy amount of asteroids and comets and meteorites shooting through it. And if you imagine a symphony, every single thing moving through space and time creates a frequency and a vibration, which creates a harmonic, which creates more diversity of frequency. So with the earth, you could say, as the animals have been killed and the creatures are being destroyed, the symphony of life is getting poorer because there's not as many sounds and frequencies being expressed. And this is the same with all these comets. They are bringing in so many frequencies, so many new energies to support what's taking place, to disrupt as well and shake it up. So there's not a part of me now that doubts. We are on our way. This winter solstice will be profound. And it will be, and the meditation I'm going to share, you know, whether you do that one or anything like it, just emptying ourselves, coming into coherence, creating a space where we can open ourselves to the coherent energies that are coming through. And when you do this, you know, create protection, create a field, because although if you move into coherence, your whole field is a field of protection. You don't need to do anything. If you're in a coherent space, your protection is there. But what's taking place is this coherent energy is getting embedded completely and utterly, firmly and finally into the morphogenetics field of humanity now. It's already here. Many people have already anchored it in. But then even once you've anchored it in, there may still be wobbles, but it's okay because it's here and it's here to stay. So yeah, that's what I wanted to share. I'll put a few of the beautiful videos that have inspired me and really supported nurtured my staying sane throughout this process as well. So I'll put those in the show notes, and also please look out for the meditation that I hope to get time to upload sometime soon. That will bring a beautiful practice to help us anchor in and receive and bring these new energies into our biological field, into our blood plasma, into our being, so that we can be a part of the coherence as it arrives. But come winter solstice, that's when the reset takes place. That's when it's in and the installation happens. And then next spring, from February through till March, this will be the coming online of the new coherent humanity and the wave that will carry us into a much more beautiful future. And then summer solstice next year, wow, it's going to be a banger. It's going to be really amazing, amazing year next year. And this is the beginning. I'm not saying there won't be work to do. I'm not saying there won't be mess to clear up. We have got a hell of a mess. You know, it's when you look at your teenager's bedroom and shake your head at just how long it's going to take to, maybe you don't have those teenagers. I certainly do. You know, we have got a big mess to tidy up, but we're going to have a humanity that is able to function in a way that will make it possible. So yeah, okay, thank you. Have a great day, have a great week, and see you next time.